The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my site, GaryBaumgarten.com, where many of you have been posting comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. We love to see more commentary on there. And thanks to our friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We're syndicated into 12 million additional households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. You know, last week, Common Cause published an ad in the New York Times that kind of caught my attention. It had an upside-down flag. Now, if any of you are familiar with the rules of the road when it comes to sailing, an upside-down flag is a sign of distress. If your ship is in trouble, you put the flag upside down. Why did they do it? Well, Common Cause sees what they believe to be evidence of democracy at risk in the United States because of elected officials who they believe are abandoning their commitment to integrity, fairness, and responsiveness to the needs of their constituents. They call the new campaign Recapture the Flag, designed to restore public faith, that is, in the core values of American democracy after what they believe are repeated abuses of power by the executive branch and Congress's failure to fulfill its constitutional obligations of oversight. A couple of issues, bullet points. Here is where they believe over the past 7 years the Bush administration has failed this nation and have set up this nation for an almost untenable situation for whoever takes the next oath of office to become the next president. Among the transgressions, the use of warrantless wiretaps to spy on Americans, attempts to severely restrict habeas corpus, what they believe to be illegal torture and the invoking of executive privilege to preclude White House staff members from complying with congressional subpoenas, and of course going to war in Iraq based on intelligence that the administration knew or should have known was illegal. So when we saw this, we immediately reached out to Common Cause, and we asked its president, Bob Edgar, to join us here today. He is the president and CEO of Common Cause. For those of you not in the United States, I should tell you that Common Cause is a national organization. It is nonpartisan. It's a citizens' lobby working to make government at all levels more honest and open and accountable to the citizens. Bob arrived at Common Cause with a long history of leadership and public service, including 12 years in Congress, and he was recently General Secretary of the National Council of the Churches of Christ in the United States. That's for the 7 years previously before he became the president of Common Cause. Bob Edgar, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
It's great to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you with us, and tell us why you think the nation is in such distress.
We think that democracy is in distress, and that's why we took out the full-page ad in the New York Times. We've seen a weakening of the power of Congress to hold the government accountable financially, and we've seen the administration, particularly the White House, do things that are troubling. 8 years ago, none of us would have thought that our nation would be known as a nation that tortures. None of us would have thought that a president would assume the power through signing statements to simply say that the president would sign the bill but not abide by the law that was passed by the House and Senate. And we also think there have been a number of issues like the warrantless wiretapping issue and some of the actions of the Justice Department that have become so political that this administration and this Congress need to be brought back to a focus on what the Constitution has stated is the balance of power. And we believe that average ordinary citizens need to stand up and take back power from the public officials and reclaim that power so that we return to the democracy that our founding fathers and mothers were hoping for when they created our nation.
Now, specifically when you talk about the Justice Department, I presume you're talking about the former Attorney General Gonzalez hiring and firing U.S. attorneys in the various districts based on their political beliefs.
Well, that's part of it. When I became president of Common Cause, which, by the way, was founded by John Gardner 38 years ago, a moderate Republican who was frustrated with the war in Vietnam and Watergate, and believed that it was time for citizens to have an active lobby to work on ethics and lobbying reform. And Common Cause was that organization in the midst of Watergate that was holding government accountable. When I became president of Common Cause a year ago, I was horrified at what Alberto Gonzalez had done, but also horrified that the Justice Department had become justice for some and not justice for all. The hiring practices of the department were such that people who had good credentials, who should clearly have been considered for positions within the Justice Department, were denied, and those that had partisan leanings were not only hired but put in positions where they were given great authority to act on behalf of the Justice Department for political gains rather than for nonpartisan rule of law or advocacy of justice. And so there's been a whole series of actions at the Department of Justice that need to be turned in the other direction. Our hope is that whoever gets elected, the next president of the United States, will select someone as Attorney General who will recognize that they're the lawyer for the nation, not just the lawyer for the White House, and that they should speak for all people, regardless of wealth, regardless of culture or racial background, and that the Justice Department needs to be cleansed of its partisanship and really recover its rule of law and commitment to justice.
The guest is Bob Edgar. He is the president and CEO of Common Cause, and you're a former congressman, Bob Edgar. And I just want to tell you,